I believe that our age isn't so much a number, it's more of a mindset. And I haven't talked a lot about this topic on the podcast before, but in my personal life, I am always looking for and surrounding myself with examples of women who are challenging what society wants us to believe is possible for our 40s, our 50s, and beyond. Like women who are reinventing themselves, starting new businesses, going back to school, or if you know me really well, I really love and am inspired by women who perform hip-hop choreography at NBA games, aka the Golden Grannies. So when I met today's guest last fall, I knew that I had to have her on the podcast. I immediately was inspired by her story and wanted to have her talk on this exact topic. Helen Fritsch is a 62-year-old lifelong competitive athlete and flight attendant turned published fitness model, IFBB bodybuilding pro, and podcaster. And Helen is on a mission to prove that age is irrelevant when it comes to pursuing our deepest goals, dreams, and desires. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I have the pleasure of connecting with someone that is relatively new in my life. We connected through a local fitness event, and I was immediately struck by her presence and completely inspired. We're going to get into her story and exactly what inspired me so much. But Helen, I am just thrilled to have you on the podcast today. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so honored. I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I actually listened to your little 15-minute blurb this morning about how, to get out of your own way. And I love that. And I posted it on my Instagram story today. So,
well, thank you so much. And you know how important that is. You are a fellow podcaster, and it really does mean so much. So for those of you listening, if you're listening to this episode and love it, or we're going to share a little bit about Helen's podcast and her mission, it goes a long way if you share it. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I appreciate you.
Oh, well, I appreciate you too.
Well, okay. So I want to go back to our initial meeting. I think we connected previously through the fitness event, Fitposium. But this year specifically, I got the chance to sit in the room during the portfolio reviews, and it's really like a pitch session where people are pitching their stories to magazines, and I got to be there and listen to pitches for the podcast. And it was so much fun. I truly just met so many incredible people, and you were one of those people that just stuck with me because your entire mission, age is irrelevant, which is the topic of our conversation today as well, I think is so vitally important for the world to hear, not just for the demographic that I know you're speaking to, women in their 50s and beyond, but, I'm in my mid-30s and listening to so many people around me have these conversations, these disempowering conversations about getting older. And all I know is that I am consciously surrounding myself with examples of how life really is just getting started, in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. So I would love if you would just even start off sharing what inspired your podcast, your mission, your movement of age is irrelevant.
Well, honestly, I think I've been a competitive athlete my whole life. My parents were very athletic, and, I was back then, we didn't have nutrition. We didn't have any type of counseling. We didn't really do any weightlifting. I was just a naturally gifted athlete. So I was very, very lucky and a standout in high school, lettering for sports. And then I went to college on a track scholarship. And after that, just continued on. And, back then, diet really was, I ate pretty well, but, I still would eat junk food and this, that, whatever. And then finally, fast forward to my 50s, I thought, holy cow, I'm in my 50s. I'm looking at 60. It's staring right at me. And I decided I want to get in the best shape of my life. And so I started looking around and kind of asking around. And I thought, I want to look like those girls on the magazine cover. And then I had friends who said, well, then you should consider bodybuilding. I go, really? So I kind of looked at that, and I was immediately horrified that I couldn't drink wine anymore, and I had to go on
Amen.
this diet. And here I'm a certified wine specialist. That's my hobby. And I was working at a wine shop at the time, drinking wine every day at work, just trying things out. So I kind of shelved it for 6 months. But just like we were talking earlier, the universe has a strange way of bringing things around full circle, because the next thing you know, 6 months later, I'm walking into the gym training with a personal trainer, and she just happened to be a bodybuilder who was coaching someone, and they were practicing posing. And the gal was like, "Oh, are you a competitor?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Well, you should be." And my friend Linda said, "I told you, I keep telling you." And she's like, "There's a show in a month." Well, of course, I laugh now because you can't get ready for a show in a month. But I said, "You know what? I can do anything in a month." And literally, cold turkey, I stopped drinking wine. I started eating really, really strict. And then I entered this, which I laugh at now, a 35 plus bikini. And here I am, 56. And I came in third.
Wow.
And I liked it, so I did another show 3 months later, and it was a big national show, and I came in third. And what was really amazing to me is that the transformation, the body is an amazing and fascinating machine. And you literally are what you eat. But it's just a combination of things. And then all of a sudden, I started having all these people come to me, all these women my age, sending me notes through social media, friends asking me what my diet was like. And I said, honestly, it's classic textbook. There might be some tips I can give you, but there's no tricks. It's longevity. It's all about the long haul, and it's clean eating, and it's getting enough rest, and it's exercising and drinking lots of water and staying out of the sun and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I just started thinking, all these women are asking me questions. I think I need to share this information, because I look in the mirror and I see how I look, and I know it's just not from, something that I did yesterday or last week. It's just from years of just kind of staying on track and really watching, what I'm doing. And so all of a sudden I just thought, I need to share this. I need to spread the word. And I kept telling my friends, well, age really is irrelevant. And then I thought, that's me. That's my tagline. That's my mission. And so then I started going to this Fitposium conference, and I, met you and met so many other people there. But the second year I was there, they were doing a Facebook Live, and I sat in front of a camera, and I had to, talk into the camera. And then apparently all these magazine editors were coming in, and they were going to view your video and then a couple of photos. And one of the editors there of Max Sports and Fitness magazine, LaRue Gillespie, as soon as I said, well, age is irrelevant, and I started talking about this, she was just almost did like a Linda Blair head spin. And she was like, I need to talk to you. And then she said, would you be interested in writing a column for my magazine called Forever Young? And I said, yes, I think I would. I actually enjoy writing. And so for a year, I wrote this column about, my first one was called I'm in it for the long haul. And then I wrote one about accountability, and I wrote one about failure. But I basically tried to talk and bring in full circle women our age who are going through all these things, and all about positive mindset, and all about having a great community and a great tribe, and people that will hold you accountable for your goals and for your resolutions and stuff like that. So that's how it all started. And then I decided I wanted to do a podcast and call it Age is Irrelevant. And I'm not a tech person. And I pulled my hair out nonstop for about a month trying to figure out how to get this
oh,
podcast
girl.
going.
Oh, yes.
And so now I still every now and then pull my hair out. But yeah, I love it. I love my mission. I love my mantra. It's never too late. I am a flight attendant, so I travel with a cooler attached to my hip, and I travel all over the world for work, and I'm still eating out of my cooler. And I'm still competing. At age 60, I won a big national show and turned pro. And that was super exciting.
Incredible.
So,
And
yeah.
I mean, you sent some beautiful photos over for, I always have podcast guests send their photos over so that we can, promote it. And I need to share all of yours, and we'll do that on the Instagram story, like truly just so that people can see. I feel like you and so many other beautiful women who are blazing this trail are the reminder that, it all comes just down to our mindset, and whether we're buying into the excuses of age or, even like some genetics that could play into it. There's always a way to find that path that's going to work for you. And like when you guys see just how incredible she looks, and I truly mean that from like a beautiful inside out, healthy, vibrant, strong perspective. You're like my vision board all day long. Like I'm just going to make a Helen vision board.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
So I actually love, there was one part I picked up so much from what you just shared, and I want to make sure that people do go and check out your podcast, which is the title, Age is Irrelevant, no matter what your age is, because truly I think there's something for everyone on your show too. But you mentioned something that really struck a chord and aligns so well with what Powerhouse Women is really founded on, and that is finding that tribe, finding that community that's going to hold you accountable to your goals. Will you just share a little bit more about the difference that you see that makes, either for yourself or for other women that you've coached? How important really is that piece?
Well, I think, right now with you being in your 30s too, I remember being when I was in my 30s, and then I would look at 40 and go, oh my God, you're thinking, back then society poo-pooed, turning 40, and it was like you're over the hill and you're at the top of this apex and you're going back down the backside, and then that's the end of your life. And now all of a sudden, society is embracing this age is irrelevant, the silver-haired gray supermodels, all these women who are doing all these amazing things. The women I've interviewed on my podcast, these 60, 70, and 80-year-old women who have done inspirational things, transformational things, losing 100 pounds and turning into an internationally ranked swimmer, and, rock climbing, and CrossFit world champion at 58, stuff like that. It's just, I get giddy, talking to them, kind of like you, and I can't wait to share their story because they are absolutely amazing. I interviewed a gal who was in her 60s, and she has, 50, gold medals, and has all these world records in sprinting. But, to get back to what you were saying is that, I think society now is very accepting because, we're here, and I'm here to prove that, I want to rebrand and redefine the terms old age and over the hill. And I think this is the time that we can do that. And I know, and I'm sure I can speak for you too, that there are times when I look in the mirror and I go, oh, not happy with what I see. Over the holidays, you may have gained a few pounds. Sometimes you just wake up and you don't feel like going to the gym. But that's where my friends, and that's where that tribe, and that's where that community comes in handy, because you're going to have down days and you're not going to feel well. And I've actually driven up to the gym and looked at it and pulled out and driven away. I have done that. So, but if I'm meeting somebody there at the gym, or if I'm training with my coach or something like that, I'm being held accountable. Yes. So I think that, along with self-love, because I think a lot of women, especially in their 50s now, some women, and like I mentioned earlier, you look into the mirror and you just don't like what you see. And then you start having all this self-talk and all this, negative self-talk. And we can be our biggest cheerleaders, or we can be our worst enemies. And if you don't have that community to embrace you, because when you are in that downward spiral or in that downward mode, if someone is there to help raise you back up, that's wonderful. But, if you're alone, you can become and get into a very dark place, which is not good. And there's so many women out there, I think, at my age, who want to try new things, who want to go to the gym and learn how to lift, who want to learn how to kayak, who want to learn how to, hike a mountain, but they don't know how, and they're scared, and they don't know where to begin. So I think that's why I want to share with my audience all these amazing women who are doing these things at 50, 60, 70, 80, proving that you can do it. It's never too late, and that there is a community out there for you. Now, if you want to learn how to knit, if you want to learn how to square dance. I mean, anything. It's just
Yeah.
stepping outside of that comfort zone and taking that leap of faith. You know,
Yeah.
Madonna has a song called Jump. It is the best song ever. You have to listen to it, and you have to listen to the words, and you will get tears in your eyes.
Oh, I'll have to, I have
And
not heard it.
oh my gosh. And every time I need a little boost, I listen to that and I'm like, yes, yes.
Oh,
So,
you know
yeah.
what? I love that this is the picture that just came to my mind as you're explaining that is it's like the 4-minute mile when, you know, people believe that your body physically would explode if anyone ever ran a mile in under 4 minutes until someone did. And it, you know, the more we surround ourselves, and this is going back to why I said, and truly from the deepest part of my heart, that I am inspired by you and women like you, because I want to surround my psyche and my mind with evidence for why I will continue to get better as I get older. Because I do fully
Mm-hmm.
believe that that's true, but we can always choose which we look for evidence of. You know, we can find evidence that things go south, or we can find evidence that things get better and better and better as the decades go on.
Right. Well, your
Mhm.
mindset is like the catalyst. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to set you off. You're at that crossroads, and it's going to set you off in one of two directions. You know, so you really, that's why. And for me, a lot of times I think too, you know, women, but people in general fail with their goals and resolutions because they look too far in
Mm.
advance. You know, they want to go from A to Z, but you have to go from A to B to C, and then just you have to
Mm.
go through the alphabet to get to where you want to, you know, go. I tell people you have to take baby steps.
Yeah.
You want to lose 10 pounds? Well, don't worry about that 10 pounds. Let's just worry about losing 1 pound. See how that
Mhm.
goes for you, and then just take it from there. Because if you just take it one day at a time, then I think the success rate is much, much higher versus throwing this goal out there. I mean, the big slam packed in January, but February it's back to normal. You
Yeah.
know, because everybody just gives up on their resolutions because they get frustrated.
Yeah.
So,
So there was something else you shared as you were talking about your story that I would love to hear a little bit more about you and how you're wired, because it really struck me that when you were in that gym and your friend said there's a show in a month, something clicked for you like, I can do anything in a month. Have you always had that strong mindset of belief in yourself?
I think I have, and I think it's just because of the way I was raised.
Yeah.
You know, my dad, it was a huge influence on me. He was a star athlete in high school and college. I remember being little and just looking through his scrapbooks and looking at his medals and his trophies because he was a big track star and a big basketball star. And I thought, I want to be like him one day. And
Mm.
he was a hard worker. And I've always been a hard worker. And I've always, you know, had that mindset. And so I just think that's the competitive athlete in me
Mm.
that has just even taking it outside of work. You know, I'm a flight attendant, and I try to treat my customers with respect and kindness, you know, at all times. And even when I'm out shopping or dealing with random people on the street, you smile, you say hello. It's just, I think it's just that I can do anything. And there are times when I want to do something and I fail. But that's, to me, looking back, failure is a part of growing. So I
Mm.
just think that's probably a good thing, where I may have given up or I may have not put as much effort into something and then it just didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out. But I really
Mm.
think that, you know, mindset is key. And then once again, I'm just going to rear that back around to who you surround you, who you surround yourself with. Because if
Yeah.
everybody has the same mindset and everybody is rah-rahing around each other, it's just like all these friends that we've all met through Fitposium.
Yeah.
Friends are being on national TV and they're being in magazines, and I'm like, woohoo! I'm so excited for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And that just, I think that's the key. I think that's the catalyst. So,
It's so true. And I do believe that. So let's say you're listening and you're like, wow, I haven't naturally had that mindset that I can do anything. Back to your point about the power of your community, I do believe you can cultivate that by hanging
mhm.
around people who truly believe that
No, I
about
agree.
themselves and can breathe that belief into you until you believe it for yourself. I mean, just underlines once again the power of that, cultivating that community.
Well, also too, it's just, I may want to try, um, I keep thinking that how much longer am I going to compete? I mean, I'll be 63 this year, and I actually do want to do a show this year, but I'm kind of chuckling going, who wants to look at a 63-year-old up on stage parading around in a thong bikini? I don't know. But I'm going to have fun doing it because all my friends are there and I always have a
Hell
blast.
yes.
And at this point, it doesn't really matter where I place, just because I'm there as long as I continue to enjoy it and my physique continues. But I know my competitiveness and my competitive days are not over. So I'm literally now thinking, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? And I thought maybe I should go back to track because I was a big track star, and maybe I could, work on because now the senior games, they've got, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, whatever. I thought, oh, maybe I'll start doing that. So I'm always, looking at something else to compete in after this chapter of my life is over. But we're all new at something at some point. So for me, it's going to be taking that step outside of the box, getting uncomfortable, and reaching out to mentors, reaching out to people like you who have gone through these things, and you're going to help me learn and grow. And then so I just think it's just a way of nature. It's kind of gosh, how do I describe that? I think you know what I'm talking about, but it's just, we're all new at something once. I have we have a lot of new hires coming on at work, and they're coming on these big airplanes, and they're like, they got the deer in the headlight look. And I'm like, it's okay. I know it's a big plane, but we all started here at one time, and we'll show you what to do. Don't worry. So that's why I feel like I can get out somewhere. And I just started playing pickleball. I know that's like the big new thing, and I actually enjoy it, but I was just like, oh, who wants to play that? And I thought, what? Well, I used to play tennis. I can play that. And then I started playing, and I go, I should really enjoy this. This is fun.
And I think that is such a great example for like how to live a life that continues to fulfill you, is to keep putting yourself in a position to do something new. And I took that on as my personal mission last year, and have now been continuing it, to look for those things that kind of call to me and go, that sounds fun. And then I notice the internal dialogue of like, oh, but like, who are you? Or you're going to be terrible at that, or you're going to be new and it's going to be uncomfortable. But actually stepping into those things has brought some of the best experiences in the past year into my life. And I was really shocked, because that has held me back for a long time, not wanting to be new at something. But I love what you said. We're all new at something at some point. I'm literally going to just like replay that over and over in my mind, because truly some of the most incredible experiences in the past year, one of them being taking hip hop dancing lessons, came from me being willing to say, I've always thought about doing that. And the only thing stopping me is, whatever BS story I'm telling myself about it. Yeah. So maybe pickleball, maybe I'll add that this year.
Well, you should. It's really, really fun. And I've met the greatest people, and I'm playing with people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It's crazy. And everybody is just it's very social, and it's really, really fun. And if you play tennis, then you'll pick it up really, really quickly. But one thing I do want to say too is that, I'm in my 60s now, and I'm literally living my best life. My 50s were amazing. The older I get, the better life continues to get. And so I look at someone like you in their 30s, and I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Because, you have this positive mindset, and you are looking beyond. And I just think that you're setting yourself up for a great life ahead. I mean, you probably think I've got the best life ever, but just wait. Just wait and see. And things are going to come along, and hurdles will fall. I mean, I got diagnosed with leukemia 5 years ago, and my oncologist is like, I wish I had more patience like you, because as soon as I got that diagnosis, it's not something I wanted to hear, but I was very proactive, and I thought, okay, I'm sticking to this clean diet, and I'm going to, continue to train. And then I started going to a homeopath, and I do acupuncture, and taking all these different supplements. And, 5 years later, my numbers are still good. It is curable. I may have to go through chemo at some point, but I've done nothing up to this point except just with my life. And it's a part of me, there's people out there who might be diagnosed with something or get something attached to them, and they become a victim and a martyr. And I refuse. I'm not going to do it.
It almost becomes I could see, because I haven't been in that position, but I could see how that could easily become an identity.
It's totally an identity. I get it a lot at work on the airplane. People will come on and they want a certain things, and then they start talking about that. And then I think they're kind of surprised when they say that they have cancer, and I say, oh, I do too.
Right. Yeah.
It kind of shuts them down. But yeah, it's an added layer to me. It doesn't define me, and it is what it is. So I normally rarely talk about it. I don't use it as an excuse or anything. It's just it is what it is.
But to me, okay, finish your thought.
No. But just like you were just saying earlier, I have this for a reason, and I think I have it just because it's for me to show the world that I may have this, but I'm still out there producing and living life to the fullest.
You literally just took the words right out of my mouth. Like, there truly is there's just no BS. There's no excuses. This is why you really are like such a role model for me. I look up to you so much and have been inspired since the moment I met you. And I will continue to be, because I know that now your vision is expanding and you're really seeing your role as being the one to start bringing together these communities for women who want to live the kind of life we've been talking about. So I would love if you would share a little bit of this vision and what you see you're wanting to create, because I know there's going to be women listening, or women are going to share this with their loved ones who are going to want to connect and just follow along and learn more about what you have in store.
Well, I think the biggest thing, what I'm really kind of excited about, is that in the fall, it's either going to be in September or October, but a girlfriend of mine and I, she's in her 60s also, and she's a fellow bodybuilder and she's a personal trainer. But we're going to be doing a retreat we think possibly in Utah or Arizona. And it's going to be called Aging Relentlessly, because we are. And we're going to be it's going to be like a 3 or 4 day retreat, and hopefully geared towards women over 50. And actually, it can be geared over women over 50, but to me, it'll be open to anyone who wants to join in, because I think even someone like you would get so much out of this, in a circle like this. But what I love is that this one spot that we're thinking about, it has a huge national park. It has kayaking, it has boating, it has biking, it has rock climbing, it has rappelling, things that I've never even done. And that's exciting to me, because if you really want to step outside of your box, something like that is going to bring not only you all together, but then it's going to be once again, it's going to be the tribe, and yes, you can do it, and don't be afraid, and cheering people on. And then, just talking like days of fitness, and then yoga, and then, talking about things that we go through with hormones and menopause, and beauty tips that we can all share, for our age group and stuff like that. So I'm really excited, because I think that this would resonate with a lot of women. And not only would we be able to meet women from all over the country that are in the same boat as we are, but we're all going to be sharing different ideas, and then helping each other get through that uncomfortableness, by stepping outside the box and trying. Like, when I saw that they had rappelling, I thought, oh my God, I've always wanted to do that. I've seen it, and I just think that sounds like the greatest thing ever. So if that's where it's going to be, I'm going to do that, so, stuff like that. So I'm really excited. I think the whole retreat thing will be great. And that with my podcast and, just some other things. I just want to share my inspiration with others, and my motivation as to why I want to have women live their best life, and that life after 40, 50, 67 is not over. And I just interviewed a gal. My podcast came out live yesterday, and actually she's a Fitposium gal too, Kristen Crowley. And, she quit her job as a news anchor and just went into fitness. And so I wanted her to talk, just because there's so many women out there who are afraid of taking that step, afraid of transitioning. They were at this crossroads of, what do I do? What do I do? And so I thought Kristen would be a great guest to have on, just to help people hear her story, that, she was afraid, she was scared, but she took that leap of faith and she jumped, and it's all working out.
And it's that constant reminder that it truly is never too late to reinvent ourselves and become the next version of ourselves that we want to be. And I think what excites me most about your retreat, and seeing that evolve, because I truly believe that that's going to be not only something that women will respond really, really well to, but I think you will be shocked by the ripple effect that it's going to have and what it'll turn into. I just that I adore you and really am so aligned with this idea that I can't wait to see it come to fruition and help in any way that I can, because it's so needed. And what it's going to do is it's going to create that community for women who don't have it. Maybe they don't have role models around them of women who are having a different kind of conversation. I think
you're right.
Yeah, that's going to be the most beautiful thing to come out of this experience. Because when you go deep and you go through these life transforming experiences, like I'm sure rappelling is one of those things that you bond instantly with anyone that you have that experience with, but to start to build that community for one another if they don't have it at home. Yeah.
Especially if they don't have it at home. I mean, it takes a lot to get on an airplane and travel 1,000 miles or 2,000 or 3,000 miles, and then just, walk into a room with a group of strangers. Yeah. And then 3 or 4 days later, you're walking out and you're leaving your best friends behind, So yeah, it's exciting.
It is. So for people who want to connect and listen to your podcast and find out more about you, where is the best place for them to follow you and to find you right now?
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram at Helen Fritsch, and that's F as in Frank, RITSCH _ IFBB Pro. And I'm also on Facebook at Helen Fritsch. I have an Age is Irrelevant page on there too, and then I have a fitness page under Helen Fritsch also. You can get all that from my main page. And then I have a website, ageisirrelevant.com, and they can go there to listen to my podcasts, or you can go to iTunes. I'm on iTunes too.
Okay, awesome. And we will link all of that in the show notes so that people can find you really, really easily. And gosh, I literally could talk to you all night. I truly could. But I know you're on a different time zone. It's getting late for you. You probably have to fly tomorrow. So I'm going to wrap it up with just one question that I love to end on, because this platform and Powerhouse Women really is built on the lessons that we can learn from one another's stories and from one another's experiences. So my question for you is, if you had just one message for women, let's even get more specific, women in your demographic over 50 who are feeling that nudge to create something, to evolve themselves, to reinvent, what would you share with them to encourage them to take that next step in their own journey?
Well, I honestly think that they have to show compassion for themselves, because I think a lot of women hold back because they may not feel that they're worthy or that they're able. But I think that if you show compassion for yourself, and that if you truly love yourself, you want the best for yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there don't love themselves. And so I think that's really, really hard. But I think that if you are compassionate with yourself and you truly love yourself and you allow yourself to be open and receptive to what the universe has in store for you. So many people have these blinders on, and the universe is giving them things on a silver platter, and they're not seeing it. So my big thing is, I'm always going into something, eyes always forward, and my blinders are off. And if you're always open and receptive to what the universe has in store for you, and you feel good about yourself, and you love yourself, and you show yourself, and you give yourself a break, and you show yourself some compassion, then you will find what you are meant to do.
That's so beautifully said. Helen, thank you so much for joining me. It was such a pleasure to hang out with you, and I can't wait to see you again in person very soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.